You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 51.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
Welcome, everyone. So glad to have you here with us today. Hey, Marcelle, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. So, it's the 19th of January. We are well into the new year. And this is often the time when things get a little bit dicey with our New Year's goals. I almost said resolutions, but I decided I'm not going to call them resolutions anymore because they get ditched so quickly, so often. So I think it's better to think of like goals, ways of evolving yourself into someone who's living differently because you have a different image of yourself, a new identity. That's how I like to think about the new year, is developing a new identity. And I've talked about this a lot. The new identity is such a huge key to any change that you want to make in your life. And I think that the weight loss journey is an excellent example of just how it is that you can manifest an entirely different life for yourself when you begin to think about yourself differently. Now, what I want to talk about specifically today is one of the skills that's really, really going to serve you in your quest for personal evolution on any front. So not just weight loss, but anything, is the ability to do hard things. So what I mean is doing something even when you don't feel like it, right? I mean, like, this is what plagues all of us, right? Sometimes we have these goals that we want to meet, and we have to actually get up and do the work, and we don't feel like it. So, for example, the ability to sit down and plan your meals in advance, even when you'd rather be doing something else, or the ability to get up and exercise in the morning, even when you'd rather be sleeping, or for that matter, the ability to turn off your screens and go to bed, even when you'd rather stay up late. That's hard for me. The ability to say no to that glass of wine with dinner. The ability to say no to the lifesavers sitting in the candy bowl on the receptionist desks at the office. So if you want to lose weight and keep it off, you have to do a lot of hard things. There's just no getting around it. That's just a fact. And think about it. If losing weight were easy, everyone would be skinny. Losing weight and keeping it off is one of the most difficult things you'll ever do. And it's also one of the most important things you will ever do. And it's also one of the most transformative things you will ever do. So let's talk about how to do hard things. Now, because you are a human being, you can imagine and plan for the future. Animals can't do this. Animals do not think about the future. Animals are just right there in the present moment. But as humans, we solve problems, we build things, we design things, we make our lives better. And we can do this because we have an advanced human brain. However, we also have an animal brain or a primitive brain. And our primitive brain can't plan ahead. It doesn't care about the future at all. It can't think about the future. It only understands what's happening right now. Its motivations are all about pleasure in the moment, keeping things comfortable and easy, and avoiding pain. That's the primitive triad: pleasure seeking, pain avoiding, and keeping things comfortable and easy. And I've talked about this in previous podcasts before, the primitive triad. Okay. So think about this. We've got these two parts of our brains that are sending us different messages all day, every day. And it's fascinating when you think about it. It's kind of interesting to just take a moment and just listen to all these competing desires in your brain. Have you ever just sat down and just listened to it?
Every day.
Because if you're every day, and especially if you're like tired or anxious or overwhelmed, that desire for the donut is likely going to win out over that desire for a healthy, vibrant body, right?
Right.
So think about it like this. What's required if we want to lose weight and keep it off is to follow the guidance of our human planning brain, to ignore the call of our primitive brain for ease and comfort and pleasure in the moment, and to focus on doing what needs to be done in order to create the future that we desire. Now, I want to acknowledge here just how hard it is to stay focused on the future we're creating. It's really only been recently that this sort of thinking even mattered. And it's interesting because, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones lately. Have you ever watched that, Marshall?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
If any of our listeners haven't heard of it, it's a really popular HBO series that aired from 2011 to 2019. So it was 8 seasons long. And my youngest daughter was a huge fan, and I was horrified because there's so much violence in this. It's based on a series of books by a man named George R.R. Martin. And what he said is that he used as his inspiration the War of the Roses, which occurred in England for 32 years between, get this, 1455 and 1487. So basically like the Middle Ages in England. The War of the Roses was a civil war in which there was just this near constant jockeying for control over the English throne. So that's what Game of Thrones is. It's like this constant jockeying for control over the throne, which now I can't think what they call it. They call it the Iron Throne or something. I can't remember now. But what strikes me as I watch this and recognize that it's not necessarily historical fiction it's historical fiction. It's based in what it was like back then, right? But thinking about what it was like just in that sort of recent human history, how no one was ever safe. Like, you never had any idea how long you were going to live. You never knew if you were going to die from some horrible disease. You never knew what if some warring faction was going to come in and completely annihilate your village. Like, this is what our human history has been like for the most part, up until very recently. And in some parts of the world, things are still very tenuous and people really don't feel safe even now. And then just for fun, because I like to do these kinds of things, I went and looked up life expectancy statistics. Life expectancy statistics, say that 3 times fast.
Mhm.
In 1750, what do you think life expectancy was in 1750? Just guess.
I would say 35.
35? You're really close. 34. I was thinking maybe it would be in the 20s. I mean, I knew it was pretty low. In 1900, it jumped up to about 48 years, which really, that's actually pretty remarkable. Now, 122 years later, it's about 80 years. So we've made major changes in our longevity just in the last 100 years even. And even just in the last 200 years, that the idea of planning for the future and thinking about our future is actually relatively new. Okay? So that's what I want you to understand. In the past, nothing was guaranteed. In the past, it made sense to just survive and not worry about the future. And in the past, going for pleasurable things when you had that opportunity made perfect sense. Okay? But what about now? Not so much. We've got a lot more pleasure available to us now, and we have a lot more time to suffer the consequences of our pleasure-seeking behaviors. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I was thinking I was kind of picturing myself, and I'm a total caveman. Just the way that my brain works.
Well, we all are.
like knuckles dragging on the ground still. Kind of caveman brain, because I pretty much don't plan for the future and or I always have, kind of live by the seat of my pants and not make very many future plans. Now, as I'm getting older, I feel like I'm more settled and more mature maybe. And, I'm starting to think about, like the long haul, and especially when it comes to my health. Before I wouldn't think twice about, drinking a 6-pack of soda a day. And now I just I couldn't even conceive of that. I would get sick.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that's come a long way.
It's funny. There's this, I just was thinking of something that I don't know if I saw it on Facebook or I just heard it. There's this old guy saying to a young person, you know, if I'd known I would have lived this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
Oh, totally.
Well, I mean, I just want to presence that idea because really our brains are not going to evolve as quickly as our environment has evolved. And so giving up a pleasure in the moment for the promise of something that will happen in the future is hard. It just is. Okay. And it's a new concept and it's really quite an advanced skill. So I just want to presence that. I think it's important to recognize that the things you need to do if you want to lose weight and keep it off are skills that are not easy and that go against everything in your brain that's calling for primitive survival. Okay. So choosing behaviors that are boring, like the meal planning and the meal prep, or difficult for the sake of the future you, this is really hard work. Okay. And at the same time, if we want to create a better future, we must get good at doing hard things. So there was something going around on Facebook recently about choosing hard things. And it said, maybe did you see this, Marshall? It said, marriage is hard and divorce is hard. Choose your hard. And obesity is hard.
I haven't seen that.
Obesity is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your hard. And then another one was...
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your hard. And then, at the end it said, life is hard. It just is. Right. So I thought that was really interesting. And it's actually really true. So...
Yeah, I haven't looked at it like that before, but I guess you get one or the other.
Yeah. And, I was talking to 2 patients recently in the clinic, and they're actually sisters. And so they were in together. And they were talking about a podcast that they'd listened to. And on the podcast, a woman was saying, I hate having to tell myself no when I want something. And she's talking about wanting chips or wanting a donut or whatever it might have been. I just hate having to tell myself no. And she's feeling really sorry for herself because she's telling herself no. But at the same time, she was also beginning to realize that when she said yes to her desires in the moment, she was actually saying no to her dreams. So the question wasn't what she was saying no to herself about. The question was what she was saying yes to herself about. So was she going to say yes to pleasure in the moment, or was she going to say yes to her dreams? So that's a pretty cool turnaround in thinking, don't you think? Like, what are you going to say yes to? Instead of telling yourself no chips right now, well, what are you saying yes to?
I understand the way of thinking, but in the moment, it's really, really hard when your brain is telling you, if you don't have that donut, you're going to die.
I know. The great news is, though, it gets easier. It gets easier. The more often you tell your brain no, the more it stops hammering at you. So the truth is, if you want to create an amazing future for yourself, you're going to have to get good at doing hard things. And if you want to lose weight and keep it off, there's no magic pill. You have to learn how to do the boring things and be consistent about it. You have to learn how to plan your meals in advance and stick to your plan. You have to learn how to get through the day without ice cream or a beer or a glass of wine or 2 at night. You have to learn how to feel and process your emotions without buffering them with food or alcohol. You have to learn how to disappoint people and not feel guilty about it. That's hard. None of this is easy. So, how do you keep yourself motivated to do these hard things? Well, think about it like this. Emotions drive behavior. Okay? So, your feeling is going to drive you into doing certain things. So, what emotions are going to drive you to do things even when they're hard? Ask yourself that question. Can you think of an emotion that might drive you to do something hard, Marshall?
I'm kind of stuck on this one. I don't know, maybe an emotion. Because my brain wants to think of a payoff at the end.
Yeah.
Instead of like an emotion.
Your payoff is going to be,
yeah.
your payoff is going to be your healthy, vibrant body, body.
Right. But what gets you there? What emotion gets you there? I'm trying to think. Is determination an emotion?
Yeah, absolutely. Determination is an emotion.
Okay.
Being determined is an emotional state of being. Like, I am resolute here. I am determined. Maybe it's
fear of getting diabetes, I guess. I don't know.
Fear of getting diabetes.
Fear of becoming unhealthy. That's like my motivator is I'm in an age now where I'm starting to feel more mortal. Before in my 20s and 30s, I was invincible. You don't really think you're going to get sick or die. But as you get older, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If I keep doing this, I'm going to get sick.
Yeah. So the emotion of fear is going to drive behaviors that generally were going to cause you to cower and want to shrink back. So I think that what you're saying is the thought of ending up in a situation where you have diabetes or some other poor health outcome is causing you to feel determined that that's not going to happen to you. So I think determined is a good one. I think resolute is a good one. I think excited about the division of yourself is a good one. There are lots of emotions that can really help you drive. Committed is a good one that can really help you to drive you to do the hard things. Okay. So then the next question is, because emotions are brought on by thoughts, right? So what thoughts are going to create that emotion for you? What thoughts are going to cause you to feel determined? And perhaps it's something like, I can do hard things, bring it on. I love that one. I can do hard things, bring it on. Or I'm creating an amazing future for myself. That thought makes me feel determined and resolute and willing to do hard things, right? Willing is another feeling you could
that's
feel.
A good one.
Mm-hmm. So if you practice those kinds of thoughts, they're going to activate the determination and motivation you need in order to follow through on the actions that feel boring or hard. Okay. Think about it when somebody's getting ready to run a marathon and, every single day or every other day, they're getting up and they're going on their run and they're excited about thinking about themselves crossing over that finish line. The emotions that are driving that behavior are feelings of determination and excitement, and the knowing, that they're doing something that is hard, right? So when you have those kinds of thoughts that fuel that emotion, they're going to allow you to just stop when you have that desire for a cookie or a glass of wine and say, hey, wait a minute, what does this choice mean for the future me? Okay. So you're actively thinking about and planning the future you. And in the process of doing the hard things, you're actually going to change yourself. You're going to evolve. You're going to get stronger. I always say that the weight loss journey done well is a journey of personal evolution. You'll become empowered in all areas of your life, not just in your health. Because when you learn how to do hard things, nothing can stop you. And so you use this journey, this weight loss journey, as practice ground for doing hard things. And you evolve. And it is amazing what can happen. Cool, huh?
That is very cool.
Yeah.
So I always feel like I'm sort of playing devil's advocate when we have these talks because you're always like the positive, the motivator, talking about the science and the psychology. And in my mind, I sit here and say, well, what about, this or what about that? Because I know that because I'm trying to think of like somebody who does not really know about, your program or doesn't, is just getting started, has not done this ever before.
Yeah.
And so just because, I'm 4 years into working with you. And so it's hard for me kind of sometimes to go back and remember how I was before I knew a lot of the information. And but also still, like, I still struggle. And I mean, it doesn't, you can, I'm around you a lot, and I'm in the clinic a lot. And so you would think that, I would have it in the bag by now, but that's just that's not the way things work. And so that being said, I know that when you get motivated to first start doing this, it's kind of like a pink cloud. That's what happened with me. As I was really super motivated to get started, and everything was brand new, and and that was great. And and along with this journey, of course, like you have your ups and downs, because it is a learning experience, always. But I've found that when you have done it one time and then you sort of fall off, which is my case. Like, I've sort of fallen off, and the holidays sort of got the best of me, and I chose to just throw myself into the holidays, because I had a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year's, but I didn't eat the way I should have. And so, I've gained some pounds, and I'm kind of having a hard time, getting motivated again. And I think that happens. I listen to our patients talk about that too. Like, they ask me, do other people go through this where they do really well, and then they fall off, and they have a hard time getting remotivated.
Right.
And, how do you find that motivation, and how do you get started again? And, just talking about, some of the things you just talked about is, I'm doing some deeper work. And, digging a little bit deeper, because I think that might be one of my issues, is that there's some things that I need to work on. And one of those is not because I'll say, oh my gosh, that's going to be so hard. But now what I'm going to say is, oh my gosh, it's going to be so hard, but you can do it.
Like, doing hard things gets you to great places.
Right. Because I found myself, like, a lot of time going, oh, it's going to be so hard. Oh, I don't know if I could do it. It's going to be so hard. And I'm probably going to still tell myself that, like, oh, it's going to be so hard, but you can do it, Marshall.
Yeah.
So I got to add like a little.
I can do hard things.
You can do, Right. So,
just because it's hard doesn't mean just because it's hard makes it all the more worth doing.
This is hard. It's and it's not something, you don't just get cured, just with the weight loss part of it. Like you're saying, this, this will filter out into all aspects of your life, is being able to do hard things and, work or with whatever. But I do know that this weight loss journey it's never ending.
Yep, it's never ending.
It's going to be a battle. Yeah. And so we do have to learn how to do hard things, because it's always going to be hard.
Well, I want our listeners to know that we're here for you. You can continue to listen to the podcast and join us in Sugar and Flour Busters Society. If you want more detailed help, we have a membership. It's called Empowered Weight Loss. And it starts with the 30-day Done with Dieting Boot Camp. So if you are interested in that, just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com to sign up. And we have all sorts of awesome, like, mini courses there, and coaching, and all kinds of awesome stuff to help you. We can help you find an accountability partner. We can, we do private coaching, we do group coaching, we do all kinds of stuff. So it's an awesome program. So just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com if you're interested in signing up for that. And Marshall, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I was just thinking, like, I had skimmed through the email that you sent me, the 30-day Done with Dieting Bootcamp, and it is awesome. If you're listening and you really want to do some hardcore work and, inner work, and get a lot of support, and this is the program. It's awesome. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. It's just in 30 days, you're going to learn everything that our patients learn and more about how to lose weight. And then we're going to teach you how to keep it off in the membership. So it's awesome.
Yeah, because it's not
all right,
just about
everybody.
losing weight. You know that.
Nope.
It's about, there's a lot more to it than that. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, you got to give yourself a chance to do the hard work.
Yeah.
And do hard things.
All right. Okay. Well, that's all we have for today, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you again next week. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.